Welcome everyone. I'm Mark with the Schrock Show, and we have Nick Highfill with us today.
How we doing?
Good, we're doing good. And we're going to be talking about. I guess you do a lot of. Do you teach peak efficiency?
I do a little bit of everything.
A little bit, and then a little bit of fitness, a little bit of organizing your life.
Yeah, there's a lot of different facets to my life and what I do, but I think it'd be useful to start at the beginning and we kind of walk through that progression, because the crazy time management expert hasn't came until within the last year. But there's plenty of things that got into that, and then I got a whole future planned out of things I want to do and people I want to impact.
Okay.
So, but since this is your first or your second episode,
yep.
The first guy didn't get a chance to interview you. So why don't you introduce yourself officially to your listeners?
All right. So I'm Mark, officially, with the Schrock Show. And so I had a vision of starting a podcast, and it was about a year, talking about it. And that's the hardest thing about it, is just actually doing it.
Yeah.
And then I'm not real tech savvy, so I had to watch all kinds of YouTube videos. And then I got mics, and I don't even think these mics are that great. I think I'll switch out at some point and get some better ones.
Yeah.
And then that monocaster thing, which I don't know, I don't really care for it, but it worked, and it's gonna work, I guess, for the next few videos.
It's gonna do just fine. We all have to start somewhere.
Yep. And so my dream was just to get a podcast going, interview people. I like to talk, and I have a lot of opinions. Not that they matter, but I have a lot of opinions, and I like to meet people.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to see it. I had the space.
Yeah.
And so I just thought, well, I'll start it, and we'll see how it goes and see where it ends up. But as far as future wise, I'd like to see this thing grow.
Yeah.
And get bigger and move on, and maybe even go travel and interview people that way.
Yeah.
So
well, you definitely got the home base for it.
Yeah.
I mean, you got a cozy little cabin here that we're sitting in, and you got fresh coffee. So I think
coffee.
a lot of people would come if I would have known there was coffee.
Yeah.
I would have made it through the ice storm last week.
Last week, yeah.
Film.
Yeah,
all
last
you had to
week
say
it
was
was
coffee,
bad.
and I would have been like,
Yeah.
oh.
Well, I thought I maybe had another guy lined up, and then he bailed on me too. So,
Yeah.
But it was we had a bad ice storm, but. And I don't know, being in the location that we're at, as far as getting people to come, I don't know if that's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but
Hey,
we'll see.
I think if you can get on another podcast and it's just sharing your voice along with somebody else's, and you get to be on somebody else's show, and they get to essentially get your message out on their to their audience, I think it's a win-win. So any opportunity like this I'll definitely take in the future.
Yeah.
But thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to go all the way back, through school, I wasn't a great reader. I wasn't a great writer necessarily. I struggled, 2 reading classes every single year.
Oh, it sounds like me.
And I would fight through elementary school. High school came along, and I'm like, man, I'm not doing so great, failing classes here and there. And teachers are like, do you have dyslexia? And I'm like, I don't know. And some were like, why are you failing this class? You're here every day. I'm like, I couldn't tell you. I don't comprehend the knowledge that you're teaching us very well. So through all that, I got into filmmaking, and I was like, man, this is where I want to go. Like, I want to shoot movies, and I want to be a film producer. Like, this is where my heart's at. So back when I was 13 years old, through this, the school struggles, my escape was video production.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, I really want to make a future of this. And my parents were entrepreneurs, and I'm like, I think I can make this work. So I knew I needed a drone. I wanted to be an aerial photographer.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to start a drone business. So I went to my parents and I said, here's the latest drone out on the market. It's a DJI Phantom 2, and it needs a GoPro.
Yeah.
So it just came with the drone and a gimbal, and then no camera on it.
Oh, okay.
So you had to buy a camera. And then you couldn't even see what the camera had on it. Like, you were just flying blind. So here I was, and I'm like, okay, so I need like $1,000. And they're like, what? $1,000 for this drone? I said, it's going to make money, Mom and Dad. Trust me. They said, okay, $1,000. And I said, yeah. And then I said, but it's going to be another $400 for the GoPro. I said, can you front 14? And they said, no, we're not fronting 14. They're like, you need to seek some other capital. So I said, okay. So Grandma lived next door. So I was
That's
fortunate
a good choice.
enough. Yeah, so I just went out the garage and tootled across the street and Grandma, got this great idea. She said, come to work tomorrow and propose it to me and your grandpa. I said, okay. So I go down to their business and I said, here's my plan. Here's where I got drafted out. Mom and dad are going to front the 1K. I need the 400. I'm being an aerial photographer. I know I'm only 13 years old, but it's fine. I got it all planned out. People are going to hire me. And they go, okay, well, we believe in you and your big ideas. And I had like a little candy business, vending machine business before that.
Yep,
so,
yep.
I mean, they kind of had some hope in me a little bit.
Yeah.
So I took all that and got the drone, ordered it online, and then my parents, some of their clients I went to. I was like, hey, could I, shoot photos of your building? And there was an auction, a local auction that was happening. They said, yeah, you can come do photos of our event that we're throwing this weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, great. And I wasn't expecting to get paid anything. So when I wrapped up, I showed them the photos and they're like, okay, so how much do you charge? And I was like, I don't know. First job. Like, I don't know what to pay or what to charge you guys. And I was like, $50? And he's like, I think you're worth $100. And I remember getting that first $100 check. And
That's good.
I'm like, $100 like for some photos? And I'm like, okay, this can go really good. I need like only 13 more of these and everything's paid off.
Yeah.
So I had no concept of money, right? And then through school again, like the struggling, and then they said, hey, we'll get you a 504 plan, which in the state of Oregon, that was learning accommodations to basically, they would give you specific instructions per student that had this 504 plan, and then the teachers had to follow that.
Oh.
So they were like, hey, so if we give you this plan, your teachers by the state have to follow this. Junior year came along, half my teachers, I failed their classes, and the other half, I passed. It took 2 years for this 504 plan to come to life.
Oh, okay.
A lot of battling with the school district, back and forth, came to fruition, and then half classes failed, half passed. And we came together at the end of the semester, and half my teachers were like, Nick, you just goof off in class, you don't pay attention. And the other half sitting in this boardroom, and they're like, Nick's the opposite of that. He stays until 7 p.m. with me, a couple days a week. I had a teacher that stays until 7 p.m. in the night.
Wow.
Just to go over the material with me. So I was dedicated. I'm like, I need to pass this class because my mom's going to be very upset if I don't do this. And then, so I failed those classes, and I'm like, I'm done. I am like, I am not on track to graduate anymore. And I'm like, here's a kid that shows up every day at school and puts in more hours than maybe the band and choir class, but puts in more hours to his classroom time than anybody else at the school, and I'm failing. And I'm not on track to graduate.
Yeah.
I'm like, this doesn't add up. So I fall into this program called Full-Time Filmmaker. And I think Randy might have got into it. Oh. And so I got into this program, and that was 2016. And Parker Welbeck started this online course to show you how to be a filmmaker. So right before this 504 plan dilemma came up, I was like, you know what? I'm going to get this course, $300. He's just launching it. It's this brand new concept, like an online course. I never heard of one before.
Yeah.
So I did that, and I got to meet Parker on an actual video shoot, and I was like, man, this is super cool. Like, this is changing my life. And I asked him, I said, what do I need to do to like make a splash in the industry? And he says, go do a project for free and expect nothing in return. This was after I charged that $50 up front initially, right? So I was like, okay, I can do more of those. Like, I feel comfortable charging nothing. Yeah. Well, I ended up contacting the company right after that in 2016, and I said, hey, I'm willing to come shoot this promo video for you for free in return, just for you guys to put my name out. And so I did that, and then I started gaining traction with them. What I didn't realize was I thought I was talking to FireMed, which is, you're familiar with FireMed.
Yeah, I've heard of it, yeah.
They had an event that I went and filmed. They had an ad agency affiliated with them, and I was contacting the ad agency. I didn't even know what an ad agency was. So then they started hiring me for more work, and I'm like, I don't understand this. Like, does FireMed own all these other companies? And then I realized it was an ad agency, and I looked at the email address and the footer in there. I was like, oh, this is an ad agency I'm working with. Like, cool. So through that time, I had started building side clients, Eugene Mission, Northwest Christian College.
Oh, okay.
So I was doing work for these companies, and then when it came to that breaking point at school, I went home that day, and I was like, Mom, I'm dropping out. I'm like, I got it in the bag. I'm going to be a full-time filmmaker. I've studied the course. I know Parker Welbeck. Like, I got a photo with him. I'm doing this thing, right? She goes, you can't drop out of high school. You have to find an alternative to go somewhere else. I said, okay. So I got on Google, started swiping charter schools, alternative schools, something around online. Place out in Veneta popped up called Wesleyan Tech.
Okay.
It's called Wesleyan Charter now. But so I drove out there and I said, hey guys, I want to come to this school. And I was very like intimidated at first going up to it. It's in a shopping center next to O'Reilly Auto Parts in a Mexican.
So is this a high school or is it, this is a...
It's a high school.
Okay.
Yeah, so when I'm ready, I'm like, hey, I'm dropping out. Mom says no. I'm like, okay, this is my avenue to get my diploma still.
Yeah.
So I go out to this place and I'm like, I kind of got an uneasy feeling about it. But I still go in and I just tell them what I said. I said, I'm struggling at my school now. I need more assistance. I need like some tailored lessons that you guys can mold to me so I can get through high school. Because, you know, some teachers are kind of bending the rules around my strengths and I'm passing their classes, but I'm not with all my other teachers. Yeah. They said, we have plenty of students like you, come on in. So I did that, and then I drove back to my high school that day, and my transcription request came across in their fax machine. So I was very close with their front office staff at my old high school. So I walked in and I said, hey guys, I'm out of here. I just found a new high school. And everybody's like, what? And then I remember the principal walking by and she grabbed the transcription. It was literally coming off the fax machine as she walked by. And I was like, oh man. She's like looking at it. She's like, Nick, what's going on? Like, what do you mean what's going on? I'm like, you guys got me running around this school. Like, and I was on this principal advisory group. So I was talking on behalf of the school and all these benefits at these district meetings. I'm like, you guys got me as your hype man, but I'm failing half the classes and I'm not even going to graduate on time. Like, what do you mean's going on? You know what's going on. So she pulled me into the counselor's office. She says, Nick, do you think this is a good idea? I said, this is the best idea I can ever choose. She said, do you realize you'll never get your high school diploma? I said, have you looked at that school? Well, I'm not familiar with it, but I wouldn't imagine you get your high school diploma. I said, I will. Well, is it like a GED? I said, no, it's a high school diploma. Do you realize this is a big mistake and you're never going to be successful in your life? And this is a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. I said, yeah, if you believe that, that's your belief. But I only use that as fuel to what I wanted to do, which was be that full-time filmmaker. I was like, every morning I thought about that. I'm like, she does not believe that I can do this and I'm going to prove her wrong, right? During all that time, I started shooting some side work and then a local production company in Eugene, I knew them through one of my neighbors. And they had lost 2 of their employees and they were looking for employees. So I never worked with another production company. And they'd called me and said, hey, do you want to come in and fill in and basically be a freelancer for the day? I'm assuming you know what the word freelancer means. I had no idea. So I get there and I'm talking with one of the guys and he's kind of going over the day with me. And then we go out on the shoot and we come back and he's like, hey, so just send me an invoice for today. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm just a freelancer. And he's like,
do you think the word free meant
freelancer?
What
else was it supposed to mean?
Well, yeah, exactly. English language is hard enough.
Freelancer. I'm like, my name's not Lance, but freelancer, right?
Exactly. I'm free.
I'm free. I'm just still in high school, right? So he's like, oh, just send me the invoice. And I said, well, what do other people charge you around here? He said, $25 an hour. I said, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4 hours a day, $100. I'm like, that's stacking up against that other job pretty good, right? And all my jobs before this were like $300 to $500. And I was working like 20, 30, 40 hours for some of these. Right? I had no concept of money and how it was supposed to work and how it was supposed to bill. I was just happy to be doing work for people. And I think that's why they hired me. Because they're like, hey, this is the cheapest guy in Eugene. Just bring him into your organization.
Plus he has a good attitude. I mean, that's half of it right there.
I just showed up with a smile, right? And so we did that, and then I asked him before I left that day, I said, hey, who's going to edit that video tomorrow? I said, we just shot all this footage. You lost 2 of your employees. It's you and somebody else. Who is going to edit that video? And it was for a local bank, which is a huge bank in the state of Oregon. And he said, I'm probably going to send it to my old editors. And they had started another company. And I said, what if I edit it? He's like, well, no offense. It's our first day working together. I don't know your editing skills. I said, well, I happen to carry a 4 terabyte hard drive with me. Can I take all that footage home with me? He's like, if you want. So the next day, I showed up with the footage, totally edited into a video. I said, hey, man, what do you think about this video? He's like, oh, wow. well, I'm just going to have you finish this video for us.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's good. That's a good.
yeah, I'm like, wow. And again, I'm using these money examples because I was just fascinated and blown away by this, and it was showing me that you can make a career out of this.
Yeah.
So it was like a 12-hour edit. So like whatever 12 times 25 is. So I was like, man, that's like as much as I'm charging for some of these projects I'm doing 20, 30 hours on. Like, this is real. Like, this is more real than I thought it was real.
Yeah.
So then they ended up hiring me. They said, when you turn 18, you can come work for our company, insurance reasons,
Yeah.
but you'll be a freelancer until then. Then we'll hire you as an employee.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was like, this is great. So I'm learning the ropes, rubbing shoulders with people. At 18 or at 17, I'm going downtown Eugene. I got my own office on the 6th floor, and I'm like mingling with all these business professionals. It was like right into the real world, right?
Yeah, right,
And
straight
I'm
up.
doing online high school. on
So
the
you were still
computer.
doing high school at the same time?
Yeah.
So online, yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing high school on the computer in between video edits. So I'm like, well, this is going pretty good. I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. So the first week I got hired, I said, can I get the week off? And the boss goes, you just got hired and you're asking for your first week off. I said, well, there's a workshop I saw on YouTube. He said, oh, what's it for? I said, it's for designers. And he says, you're not a designer. I said, I know, but I think there's someone there that I need to meet to project me forward with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And he said, by all means, go ahead. So I hopped in my pickup truck a week later, drove to Yosemite National Park, where this creative retreat was. I had no idea about the design industry. I didn't know who was there. I didn't know what a keynote was, what a workshop was. Zero idea to all of this. And as I'm saying this, it's funny because I'm so into this stuff now that I'm like,
Can't believe you didn't know.
yeah,
what
like
was
that
there.
I was there, right?
Yeah.
So some of these big name people were there, and there's people who work for Netflix and Facebook and these like design team leaders. And I'm like, man, this is super cool. I got to talk to the guy, Dan Petty, who put the event on.
Okay.
And that first night I was there, I said, hey man, I'm like, how'd you do all this? Like, what's your story? He's like, I started at 17 years old and I designed some of the first Fast and the Furious movie posters. And I
Really?
got paid for these movie posters. By I think it was Universal.
Yeah,
who shooted
I think they're the ones. Yeah.
and I was sitting there, I was like, wow, like this is super cool and inspiring. And he said, are you going to do the design challenge? I said, Dan, I'm not a designer. I'm just here to meet people. And I really don't know what I'm doing here anyways.
Yeah.
And he said, well, you can do a video for this design challenge that we're doing. It's basically a story about the Yosemite Conservancy Group,
Okay.
the group that looks after the park. And he said, you can either build a website, build an app, like write a blog post about it or do a video. There's 3 winners. There could be 3 in the same category. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And it's like due in a day and a half. And I'm like, well, I got all my camera equipment with me, like, so I might as well do something. So that night I stayed up late, got 2 hours of sleep, drove down into the Yosemite Valley with a guy that I met there through, I think we're using Slack. I don't know if you're familiar with that interface. It's like a messaging app.
Okay. Yeah, I don't use it, but yeah.
So I got on Slack and I found this guy. I'm like, hey, do you want to come down to the valley? I drive a gray pickup and it will be running at 3 a.m. So he hopped in the truck and I had never met him. I'm like, sweet, this is great. We went down and I filmed this video, just random people in the park.
Okay.
And
yeah.
and just filming like these people enjoying the park. Went back, edited during the conference, and the next night presented. And everybody was like going crazy. And I was like, oh man, I didn't think I would get this reaction.
Yeah.
And at the halfway break before we had dinner and then we resumed and other people showed. And people built these like workable using applications on their phone. Like I was, the talent.
Like
here,
right there in a day and a half?
in a day and
Really?
a half, Marcus.
They just sat right there and.
It was nuts. And I'm like, you guys are intelligent. But they thought my video was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
So, and then everybody found out my age because Dan Petty was like, hey, you know, Nick, and how old are you? And I'm like, just turned 18 like a couple days ago. And the whole crowd's like, and I'm like, oh no, now everybody knows, right? Because everybody's like, do you want a beer? And I'm like, no, I'm good, you know.
Take water, huh?
Yeah, nobody knew.
Yeah.
Ended up winning 3rd place. And that just like blew me up at that conference. I got an iPad Pro and I was like,
Really? Yeah.
I was like, man, this is great. And people were coming up to me asking all these things. And one guy there said, hey, I know a guy that is in San Francisco. And the guy I was talking to lived in, not Singapore, somewhere. He flew from across the world to be here. I did a podcast interview with him. I just forgot about that, but remembered it. And then he said, I got some friends in San Francisco at the chocolate company. I'm going to connect you with them. I'm like, this was the reason why I came.
Yeah, I think those events are good like that. You can meet, like you said, you go, you have no idea what's going to come out of it, but
no idea.
Yeah,
and it's just taking action and just going and just going with your intuition of like, this is going to happen and I'm supposed to be here for some reason. Looking at God for the higher power and you're like, I'm just going, right?
Yeah.
And a year later, I'm in San Francisco shooting 2 videos for 2 different clients and teaching a workshop to people. And I'm like, this is going way too good. You know what I mean? At 18 years old, I'm like, this is crazy. But every opportunity I could take, I would just go. I wouldn't think about it.
Yeah.
Hey, do you want to go here? Yes, I'll be there.
Yeah.
2 years after that event, the guy that I went down into the Yosemite Park with, he called me. I'm throwing an event in Spain. Do you want to come out here? I'm like, do I want to come out here?
This is Spain, California? Or?
Spain, Europe.
Oh, okay. Europe.
Europe.
Spain. Okay.
Is there Spain, California?
I don't know.
Oh.
I'm just saying, I don't know. I
Yeah,
have no
so
idea.
this is Spain. And I'm like, yeah, I'll go to Spain. You know, Barcelona? Sure, never been there. I don't even know where that's at on a map. But I'm going, you know.
Yeah.
So this was 2 years later, I was just about 20, I believe. And he said, I'll pay for all your travels. Everything is
that's
expensed.
good, yeah.
Keep all your receipts. Every dime is expensed. And this was for those portfolio projects that everybody tries to rope you into. But I'm like, I'll do this for my portfolio. I'll go to Spain on a paid trip.
Oh, yeah.
So did that, and then I was talking to other guys there. It was a small co-working conference. These people came from all these countries. And I was talking to all of them, and I said, what do you think my next move should be? And they go, why are you working for somebody back in the States? And so I feel like I'm 20 years old. I don't have this education. I don't know how I'm supposed to take it to the next level. I feel like since I didn't go to college, I need to be working under somebody. They said, this is your own client. This is outside of the job you're at. Why are you working for somebody? It's like, it's a great point. They said, you have the potential. So I flew home, ran into the office Monday morning, and I said, hey, my 2 weeks, I'm putting it in. He's like, what? I let you go to Spain and now you're putting your 2 weeks in? I'm like, I appreciate you. I love you. Everything you've done for me, it's been the biggest blessing of my life, and I've learned so much under you. And he said, whatever I can do to help you exceed, go ahead and do it. Meanwhile, I'm still in high school through all this time.
Yeah.
I'm doing high school for my laptop. I graduated super senior because A, I was behind on classwork, but B, the state of Oregon had something in place at the time that you could not graduate unless you passed these standardized tests.
Oh, okay.
And since the freshman year of high school, I could not pass that test. Every year, I would try. I was like, this is a bunch of crap. So I went up to Salem, and they had some deal at the Capitol. And so I went up there and voiced my opinion. And I said, I can't graduate because of you guys, you know.
Lower the bar, huh?
Yeah, you know, I'm just fuming, right?
Yeah.
And then that ended up getting lifted amongst many other voices. And then so that's no longer a thing. But I ended up graduating that super senior year, and then just jumped right out into my own business.
Wow.
And so after Spain, only under 2 years working for that production company. After Spain, I was like, I'm out. I'm done. And I just jumped right into Highfill Media. A friend of mine called me, and I said, I don't know what I'm doing. He says, call it Highfill Media. I said, okay, I'll call it Highfill Media.
Yeah, that's easy. I mean,
yeah. So I get the Instagram, the domain, everything that night, right?
Yeah.
And my biggest thing was just take action. Just whatever I do, just take action and keep it going. So I got the domain, got everything I needed, and then a client that was working with the production company before was a medical practice, and they'd called me, said, hey, I know you used to work at this other company. I know we worked together, and I talked to their owner, but we want to work with you. I was like, wow, this is working out pretty good. And they said, we want to get on a paid retainer with you.
Oh, that's what you want right there. Yeah.
I said, okay, this is good. You know, so all the bills and everything were covered. Paid retainer, I could pay myself. I was like, sweet, 12 month. I'm like, for 12 months, I can screw around and not have any clients, and I could, very little, but I could live.
Yeah, I could live.
I could live.
Yeah.
And still run a business. It'd be very slim, but that gave me the opportunity just to go out and try things, network, talk with people, and then just work started flowing in. They're like, hey, that's the guy who just left the production company. Let's call him and see if he wants to work. So that was just happening, right?
Yeah.
And then I turned 21. I thought alcohol was super cool. Every Thursday night, people came over, pizza and beer, and I'm like, yeah, we're living the life, right? Now, Saturday night, I would just get toasted, and I'm like, I got tired of it. I was like, this is not what I want to be doing. No disrespect to my buddies, but most of them work 9-to-5 jobs, and their weekends were off. Like, I had to be tack sharp Monday morning because I was the one driving the boat.
Yeah.
I didn't have any other option, right? Like, it was me holding up the client communication, me shooting, me editing. Like, I had to be responsible, and I was not being responsible. Through that time, my eyes started closing down throughout the day. Like, they would just force themselves shut. And then my heart was like fluttering.
Was that a disease or was that just?
No idea. So I'm like, this isn't good, right? Yeah. So I go to the doctors. I'm like, hey, this is what's going on. And they're like, you need to go see the heart specialist. So I'm like, oh, great. 21 years old, going to see the heart specialist. That's a great sign.
Yeah.
So I go in there and he's like, hey, we're going to hook this little deal up to you and you're going to wear it for 3 days. And I was like, oh, great. So I'm walking around with this bulge out of my chest and trying to work out at the gym because I'm just trying to get into that at that point.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because I thought that could prevent it. And of course, the doctors, it's going to take you 6 months to diagnose anything, right?
Yeah.
You refer it to my buddy Steve over here and he'll bring you here. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Then they guess half the time anyway.
Well, that's what it was. It was a guess. Yeah. And then they said, well, let's bring you back in and shave all your chest hair. And we're going to hook all these little wires up to you. And then you're going to run on a treadmill. I'm like, okay, I guess we'll do that. So here I am running in the doctor's office, and they're like, we'll send you reports later, but things look kind of okay, but we don't know yet. So I'm like, okay. But during this time, I'm like, well, they never asked me one time, am I stressed out? Nobody asked me about alcohol consumption. I'm like, so I think these are my problems right here. I'm not happy. I'm not fulfilled. I'm not doing what I feel like I'm supposed to. I didn't grow up in a household where my parents drank. There's past family history of family members drinking. I'm like, I'm never going to be like them, and then I fell into that route. I'm like, no, I need to stop all of this, and I need to get my life under control. Like, I'm making no progress, and I'm stressing myself out. So as soon as I started taking care of myself, all these issues started going away. And they want to get me on all these medications. And I'm like, I'm going to self-medicate this thing. Like, I'll check back in with you guys.
Smoke weed then to self-medicate?
No. Like, it was, this guy's laughing over here. It was personal development. So during this time, some friends of mine said, hey, there's this program called 75 Hard. And they said it's 2 workouts a day, 45 minutes apiece. One has to be outside. Read 10 pages of a self-improvement book. No alcohol. Follow a diet. No cheat meals. And a gallon of water every day. I think there's one other thing I'm forgetting. But they said a gallon of water every day. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it with you guys if you guys are down. Went home, told my girlfriend at the time. I said, hey, what do you think about this program? She's like, a gallon of water. She's crying. I'm like, oh no, what did I do? I said, hey, I think we should do this. So I'm not in good shape. Like I gained 20 pounds.
So was this an online guy or this was just a book or what?
Online.
Because everything's online anymore.
Everything.
We talked about that in the last episode.
Everything's online. And I told our girlfriend Emma, I said, I'm not doing well. Like, we need to change something in our lifestyle. I said, to cut alcohol for 75 days straight, I think that could be the best thing for me. And to cut sweets and all this crap, but I'm just eating throughout the day.
So were you still drinking alcohol like during this whole period?
I started to
slow down. Or you slowed down a little bit.
I'm like, this isn't who I want to be. And so we get on this program, and it's 2 workouts a day. And so you build routine and structure and discipline. And I had worked out like a handful of times before this. And now it's twice a day. So we're going to the gym, then we're doing an outdoor walk or run for our second workout, rain or shine, snow, ice. I mean, you got to do it, right? Unless it's lightning or a tornado.
Yeah, because if you quit, then it's hard to start again.
And then you have to start day 1. And you got to take a progress picture every day. That's the one I was forgetting. So we did this for 75 days and got through it. And I was like, I'm sharp. I'm healthier. I almost lost 20 pounds. And I'm like, I'm seeing things a lot different. I've never... And like I said, I struggled with reading. Some nights it took me an hour to do 10 pages. Some nights it took me 2 hours to do 10 pages. I was just not a great reader. But this taught me, hey, you got to fight these negative limiting beliefs that you have. You got to get over yourself. Like, you need to read these books. So here I was that had maybe done like 3 extracurricular books for fun outside of school, and I had done like 3 in this program in 75 days. And I'm like, wow, this is game changer, right? And I didn't know that they wrote books about business and life skills. Like,
Because you never read, I guess, huh?
no, I thought it was just textbooks. Like all I could think about was whatever was in a book.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to read like about lions in Europe and stuff, because that's what we read in high school. I'm like, well, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize there was these people that had gone through these things in life and overcome challenges and wrote about them.
Yeah.
And they had to be personal development books. So I'm like, this is great. First book, Magic of Thinking Big. I don't know if you've read that, David Schwartz.
I haven't. No.
It's just all about thinking big, right? And I'm like, I can think big like this guy. I can really align myself with this. So that's what like kickstarted that health journey for me. When I was just like, I'm not happy with where I'm at, and I'm running this business myself, and my numbers are going down. Like, I need to do something to change. Did this, and then everything started picking back up. Then I'm trying to think what the best point to skip forward is, and in my time management. When we came through that program, my time management I had to get serious about. Because I was still, like, I didn't know how to balance those 2 workouts a day, like where to put them in, how to use my calendar. And when I did that, I started researching different tools. Like, how could I time block on my calendar? I'd time block manually a few things. And then I'd realize if I had to move that, that'd be a problem. Because now I got to move all my time blocks around on my calendar. Yeah. And that takes way too long. So I'd stop time blocking. I'm like, this is dumb. Then I was researching on AI platforms. How could I automatically make my schedule organize itself? Do I have to make something, which I don't know how to do, or do I need to find something? So I tried these different softwares, found one, and I'm like, I'm doing that. I'm going all in on this software. I put my whole life in there, Marcus, my entire life. From the moment I woke up, my breakfast.
So did they have already printed out for you? You just followed it, or you put in?
I put it in.
You put everything in those time slots.
Then you told it, like, this is what you want to do, for how long, and when you want to do it. So I put everything. I mean, time block started at 3:30 a.m. and ended at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Like, hour by hour was time blocked. So I started living that structured life.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is like ultra high efficiency, because I can pre-plan an entire week at a time, exactly what I need to do, and I can tell this calendar. For instance, I have a video edit I need to do, and I want to do it during my work hours, which was 9 to 5, and then I want to break that 10-hour edit up into 6 different blocks. So it will break that up into 6 different blocks throughout the week at the most convenient times. So I'm like, now this is really cool, because I was never timing my, for instance, video edits. Yeah. So your mind, you apply the 80-20 rule to it, but I didn't know what the 80-20 rule was. And I'd be working on what should have took 2 hours for 4 hours. Yeah. Just burning time. But when you set a time limit and you're like, hey, you have to do this task in this time, you'll get it done every time. There's been a few cases where like I miscalculated my hours on this, but most of the time I'm done 15 minutes early, and I'm just cruising through everything, and then I'm done half hour, an hour early every day. Yeah. Because everything's scheduled out, and I'm getting more done than I ever have in my life. But everything's scheduled, from walking the dog to washing the car to date night to waking up, lunch.
So how far out does this calendar go? Does it go out?
Week at a time.
Oh, just a week at a time. Yeah. So do you have to put something in like every week, or it just stays the same every week?
So I have to put in what I'm working on.
Yeah, yeah.
My habits and routines stick in there, and then they self-adjust. So if I move like my sleep block down, and I'm like, I slept in this day to this time, then my morning stuff will shift all around. The workout, everything will reprogram throughout the day. And then I'm like, okay, I just got to follow the calendar.
So is this an app?
It is.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's called reclaim.ai.
Reclaim.ai.
Yeah. Huh. So then I had people asking me, Nick, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I did 75 hard. And some people were like, we're going to do it. And then some people were like, this is way too hard. Day 10. And I'm like, this isn't for me. I'm like, it's not for everybody, right? Yeah. It's what fixed me and it's what helped me. But this time management thing I feel really strong about. Yeah. And if I would have known this before 75 hard, this time management software would have given me the structure I needed.
You would have did that before
I would have done that before the program 75 hard all day long. I wish I would have, because it would have made 75 hard so much easier. Yeah. Because like some nights we'd be working out at midnight because I didn't know how to balance my time before that. And it's midnight, and we're like, oh, we got to get our second workout on.
Yeah. So,
So then how do you go to bed after you walk or run?
so did you grow up in a pretty structured home?
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
Parents were together, on their own business. My parents' work hours were everywhere, and it always seemed like we were slightly late to things.
Yeah.
So I adopted that, and I was always 10, 15 minutes late to things. That always kind of drove me nuts.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like my family and everything was structured. Like it was a normal life.
Kind of the certain times you did these routines every day, or
No, not that structured.
yeah.
It was, let me put it, it was normal. It was a normal life, but nothing was like we worked out as a family or we did a walk. Like with them owning their own business,
Yes,
I mean, Tuesday night you can be driving to California with them.
Yeah.
Like it was literally all over.
Well,
the
when you
place.
own your own business, sometimes it is that way.
Yeah.
You're just, what do you get a call or something goes later than you thought, and
Yeah, it's all over.
yeah.
But that's kind of like the whole story right there. Well, I did an online course. So people started asking about time management. I said, I'll build an online course and do this. And this is literally like within the last 9 months.
So
like
you build an online course yourself? Okay.
Yeah. So I showed a few people in person at the local Starbucks how I'd use this whole system. And they're like, this changed the way I went through my work week. Thank you. I'm like, wow. So let's do an online course on this. So I stopped doing production work and I went all in on this online course. Like all in. And the email marketing, the funnels, the webinars, the course, the editing, like everything. Like it's a lot to take on. We learned all of it, me and my wife, because we got married through this whole time. We're going through all this together. She's a rock star. She's making everything happen that needs to happen. And then we have like 17 people in the course.
Yeah.
And I got to a point, and it was just a couple weeks ago, I said, this isn't exactly what I want. I'm super passionate about the time management. I think this really helps. But what I've learned through 75 Hard and time management, all of that combination works really well with this system. If we give this system to somebody and say, here's a course on how to use this software, they don't exactly know what to put in it. I have a guy in there now that I do coaching calls with. And he's in his 40s, but he's like, I don't really know how to structure my week around this tool and really apply things. When I see things come on the calendar, I'm like, I'm not ready for this. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So there's other things that he has to work through in his life and get over some things and really build a disciplined schedule and follow through on his promises and what he put on there. So I'm like, I don't think this is it. I said, but we learned so much through this, right? The production company, the self-improvement, and then this whole time management, this business we've essentially built, Highfill training. I'm like, what is it? What is it? And me and my wife were talking. I said, my passion is just to help people. Like I want to help young people and they're 18 to 29. Like I want to help them live their highest selves. Yeah. Because I feel like I can wake up every day and most of the time have this exact energy. Like I get up at 3:30 and I got a wiggle machine and I'll hop on it. I'm brushing my teeth, rocking out.
Like you stand on it?
Oh yeah, stand on it. I got it on Facebook Marketplace. So I speed 99, standing, right? And then I get off.
Energy.
And then I spit, do my thing, and I come back in the room, 10 to 20 push-ups. I'm like, all right, feeling super fired up. And then I sit down and I fill out my, I got what I call my daily sync. So I just fill out like journal type questions in the morning on the computer. And then in the evening, I log certain, like, did I wake up at this time? Did I read these books? Did I do this and this? So I can collect data on my life. So I do that first morning part to that. And then I'll either read a book or like do something that I didn't finish the day before. And then 5 a.m. we go to the gym and then like the whole day kicks off. But like I love that style and I love that structure and the routine. And I feel like if you can find something that works for yourself and then you can wake up just happy because you're excited. Like, in the morning, I'm going to work on this hobby. I love leather, whatever it is. Like if you can come to terms with like, figure out your purpose for your life, figure out what you love doing and surround yourself with those things you love. Like I feel like when you get alignment with that, like your life's changed, right? But not everybody knows how to get into that groove. So I said, Emma, this is what I want to do. Like I want to help people do this. So I said, I don't know how to do that, but what have I done before? I took action. So I'm reading this book by Jack Canfield. Do you remember Jack Canfield?
Yeah, I've heard the name, but
Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Yeah, oh yeah, okay,
He co-authored all those books. So I'm reading one of these books, Success Principles. They got a number on the book. So I look online and I'm like, okay, if that number is on that book, it's like 15 years old, but I can probably call this number still. So I verified on Google. I'm like, okay, hey, I'm Nick Highfill. I want to be a coach, and this literally at the beginning of this year. And I want to change people's lives just like Jack does. I'm like, what can you sell me? And she's
so is that guy still living?
He's still living, 81 years
80
old.
years old.
Yeah. She said, we got this program for you, Nick. It's called Train the Trainer. Most of these companies like Jack, they'll sell you as much as they possibly can. I steer clear. Like Grant Cardone, I know a guy that is...
Yeah, how do you even know what's even real anymore? There's so many people in there selling stuff.
You start learning the patterns. You study them for a couple of years, and then you learn their patterns, and you're like, that guy's fake, that guy's fake, that guy's fake.
But do you actually follow their stuff for a couple of years?
Yeah.
That's a lot of stuff. I mean, you follow on all kinds of people.
Yeah, I keep up on these people regularly on YouTube and whatnot. Grant Cardone, I know a guy that got for $230,000 into his training programs. $230,000.
Wow.
And I'm like, and I've got on the phone with those sales guys, and they are sales guys. They're the cold caller masters. And and if you if you accidentally answer, unless you hang up, you're not getting off the phone.
Yeah.
And I'm not the guy to hang up on somebody. I never have hung up on anybody. Yeah. But I was 5 minutes late for this meeting I was supposed to be at on the phone with this guy. I said, I'm hanging up on you right now. Click. I'm like, get out of here, right? So I didn't do any business with them. But Jack Canfield, when I talked to that lady, she said, we have this program, Train the Trainer.
Yeah.
We'll show you how Jack teaches people how to have breakthroughs in his life. We'll give you this exact blueprint. You can use all the worksheets, all the material. You can license and teach yourself. She says, our goal is to train 100,000 people doing this. And I'm like, I want to be a part of this movement. And this is an 11-year-old program, right?
Yeah, this is before all this media, social media.
Yeah,
probably.
So this is older. I'm like, this is perfect. This isn't some new trend that people are jumping on. I'm like, this is some old, I'm going to call it old school material that has worked for Jack his whole life, and other people are using to transform people's life in a coaching, in a workshop, in a seminar capacity. That is what I want to be doing. That is what I want to dedicate my life's mission to. And so I said, I'm going to call you tomorrow. That's kind of my test. I'm going to call you tomorrow and I'll give you a decision. She didn't even give me your number, her email, nothing. And she could, see caller ID.
Yeah.
I didn't hear from her, and I called her back the next day. She passed. I'm like, hey, I want to do business with you guys. So I signed up for the program, and then I got this whole online academy, and I got a 400-page 3-ring binder that's on my desk at home that I work through every day. And just inch away so I can eventually learn all this material in here, learn how to do workshops.
That's how much they give you, is 400 pages?
Yeah.
It's 400 pages worth of stuff.
I had to print this off too, so my printer was smoking by the end of the 400. But yeah, and there's more in there than the 400. But so I got this massive binder that I hole punched all of them.
Yeah.
And it's all this material. There's a training video to go with each section. And then you learn all of this, and then you're free and clear to teach people. So this, I said, I'll give you the whole story, and I try to make it as condensed as I could.
Yeah.
But this is where I'm at current day, today. This is what I want to dedicate my life to, is serving other people and help them change their life.
So have you did seminars yet?
I haven't.
You haven't did that yet?
Besides that workshop when I was in San Francisco, that I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't. And so in January, I got enrolled into this program. Well, into December, got enrolled into the program. So it's all, I'm studying and jamming right now. Yeah. I remember I didn't like studying. I didn't know how to study.
Or read.
Yeah. So this has taken me a while, but I'm working through it, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, I was the same way in school. I didn't know how to, I was a terrible reader. In school, it wasn't actually till I got out of school, reading and math, but then I got out of school and I liked to read. And so I read books and books and books and books, and, pretty good reader now. Spelling's a little bit of a challenge, but and then math, same thing with with owning a business, and you have to do math, and you get better at math.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. So right now though, you're taking the program.
Yeah.
or you're doing the program, and then eventually you want to do seminars, or is it mainly just online you're sticking to right now?
So I would love to do workshops and seminars. What I've seen is the in-person format and the life transformations you can have and the impact and the environment that you can create in a room and the breakthroughs people can have being to some of these events is phenomenal. And you can't get that through an online course.
Yeah.
But if you can't attend an in-person event, you can't pay your airfare, the hotels, the high-price ticket. If you can't do that, I think the online course to get you kick-started is the best way to do it. So my plan is to do those in-person events, but then do the online course for those who can't. So I'm going to redo an online course. I'm going to completely, the time management one's still going to live.
Yeah.
But I'm going to rebuild a whole nother one to actually give somebody like a true life transformation and be able to make their vision boards and their goals and have an idea of like what brings them joy, how to get through certain sticky areas in their life by teaching these success principles, and then everything I've learned on top of that, teach that in an online course. I don't know what I want it priced yet. You know, I was telling Emma the other day, I said, I would love to have this like so dirt cheap that, and not even do it for the money, but just, you know, I want 1 million young, you know, high schoolers to have this program. They don't teach you this stuff in high school.
No,
Not a chance.
I don't know what they teach anymore.
No,
It's not that.
Well, I barely scooted through, and they didn't teach a whole lot, right? But if I could get into high schools and even just people struggling after college, there's so many people in my life that are just absolutely lost. They don't know what to do, where they're going. That I've been able to break through these things, but it's taken me 2+ years to read these books and just jam all this information together. That I'm like, I want to do something with all this. There's a reason I'm studying this. You know what I mean?
No, very good. That's a lot of information and good information.
Thank you.
Because there's a lot of people anymore. I mean, I grew up in a fairly structured home. You know, where you got up a certain time, you went to school, you came home, you had chores to do. Supper was kind of at a certain time. Everything was kind of the same. But it wasn't like some of my friends that grew up in this structured home where meals were planned, and their mom laid their clothes out for them, basically dressed them until they're 20 years old. I mean, weird, but it really structured. I wasn't like that, but I think structure is what a lot of people, and I think structure is part of success.
Yeah, and you look at these routines of even like, let's look at Mark Zuckerberg, disregard the feelings about the guy, but what is it, 14 gray t-shirts and like 2 different pairs of pants that he's just like, you know, 2 different colors of pants that he cycles through. I mean, that is a routine and a habit that he buys nothing else but wears that same wardrobe every single day. It's part of his routine. And you study all these other people and how they are very routine oriented, you know, 30 pages of reading a day or an hour reading, or the cold plunge. That's the big thing. Get the cold plunge. Go underwater.
Not me. I'm not a nice person.
But you start building these routines, and then when you even go on vacation, you don't want to break them. Like I just went to Maui recently, and we stayed with my parents and then their friends.
When were you over in Maui?
Right before the fires.
Really? We were over there. We were not. We were in Oahu right before.
Oh,
no,
really?
right after the fire.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So
end of August.
Okay, yeah. So I was there. What was it? Was it July the fires were?
I think so. Yeah.
So June, I was in Maui, just up the road in Kanapali, up the road from Lahaina, where the fires were. But like we did a workout almost every single day we were there. Like I was very particular about what I ate when I was there. And that's something I've realized too. When I get off my eating train of like what I'm used to, like it throws me off, right? So I said, when we get the rental car, the next morning, because Costco's closed, we're going to Costco. That's where we shop. We're getting protein bars. We're getting Kodiak waffle mix. Like we're getting all this stuff. We're here for 2 weeks in a home. I said, I want to make this as home as I can and live my life here. I brought my laptop. I worked out, and it was great. We ran down to the ocean in the morning, went for a swim. Like it was great. But that habit and routine, and everybody's like, even my parents are like, you know, why are you guys getting up so early? And like, you know, you kind of feel like they're throwing a little shade at you, and it just works for you.
Yeah, it does. Well, I have a place where I put my keys, put my wallet, put my phone every night and every morning I get it. And if it's not there, then I'm running all over trying to find it.
Yeah, you're out of routine.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think it's they're just different routines you pick up, but some of them are bad actually. You know what I mean?
Very, very bad.
But I think that's interesting what you're saying about alcohol. Is I was listening to another guy, I can't think of his name, and he grew up in a home where his dad was an alcoholic, and his uncles, and he was an alcoholic, and he quit, and his life improved. Yeah. So is there truth in that? I mean,
I would say, and people might think it was worse than it sounds like. I mean, I enjoyed like a lunch beer, right? Yeah. I mean, some people would say that's full-blown alcoholic, but like I would go to Chiefs, Thursdays they had free beer with a burger. And I would drink in the evenings at dinner, but not like crazy amounts, but the weekends is where I'd get wild. And I would say yes. Like the mental fog that is put on when you're drinking and you have like 2 days afterwards you recover. Like if you toasted the night before and wake up at noon the next day. First, you went to bed at 1, 2, 3 a.m. and woke up at noon? I can't even fathom that now.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing, right? And then the next 2 days, you're still a little foggy from that. Monday, Tuesday, you're kind of getting recovered. Yeah. Then Wednesday, you're like, we're halfway through the week. I could maybe have a beer, And then you're looking forward to the weekend. And then now, like, none of that's even on my mind, right? It's not even an option. Yeah. Like, through the weekend, I still get up. There's a few mornings that I do sleep in, but through the weekend I get up at the same time because I want to maintain that. Yeah. And I've had like a few drinks since then, and I haven't felt good when I did it, and then I just was like, I don't like the feeling and the internal guilt I have like drinking, and I'm like, no, I'm totally fine without it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we covered everything that's kind of what you came on for, just tell us how you got started and where your journey and where you're ending up at, or where your goal is anyways.
Yeah. Any questions? Other questions for me? I know I talked a lot.
No, I mean, I didn't even have to ask any questions. So I don't know, either I need to learn to be a better host and ask better questions, or else get people on that just talk. I just sit back and just listen.
That's one way to do it. Well, you did a phenomenal job. You're a good listener. Some people can't listen. See, they want to cut people off.
Yeah, they keep interrupting and cut people off.
But I think what you're doing here, bringing on guests, sharing other people's messages is like absolutely critical. And I'm sure it's going to inspire you to do change different things. You might get different ideas. And you're like, oh wow, that person's doing this. I could do this. Yeah. And it's your show. And you get to promote it however you want. Like, I'm excited for what's in the future for you. And I hope to be back on one day.
No, we'll get you back on again. And again, it's Nick Highfill. And what was the name of your company?
Highfill Media.
Highfill Media.
It's a production company. And then I'm calling it Highfill Training right now. I don't know if that will stick or eventually just go Nick Highfill. Yeah. Right now, everything's branded under Highfill Training, but I look at the Grant Cardones, Ed Milet, Brendan Burchard, Tony Robbins. It's their names. Yeah. It's not some business. It's their name is the business. So exactly. That's where you.
No, and I think in the business you're in, I think that's good actually to have a name like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of having some whatever off the wall name and then people are trying to figure out who it is and all that. But all right. Well, thanks again for coming on, and in the future we'll have you back on again and see where you're at then.
Cool. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.